What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and today I'm here to bring you my first impressions of the LG G2. So this is LG's current flagship. This is not a full review. A full review will be coming up, and this is just my first impressions upon using the phone for the past few days. So one of the biggest things that will separate this phone from the rest of the market is the fact that you do have the buttons put on the back. A lot of phones out there, or pretty much every phone out there, either has it on the sides or the top. You can see here that the buttons are located on the back of the phone, and it is actually pretty conveniently placed. By holding the phone, you have straight access to the power button, the volume up, down, or whatever you program those switches to be, but it is actually very easy to reach. But if you have smaller fingers, it may take some time to get used to, but I definitely don't think it is an issue. But one thing that I do think is one thing that you could run into by using the buttons on the back is a lot of times if you do actually end up missing the button, you may accidentally smudge the camera quite a bit. So by having the buttons on the back, you can see that the sides are absolutely seamless. The phone itself looks very, very good. It's pretty thin. Everything is very flush, and again, that is due to the fact that there are no buttons on the side or the top. And on the bottom, you have your micro USB for charging and syncing. You have your 3.5mm and also your speaker ports. By having the buttons on the back, they've also been able to achieve a very, very thin bezel. So you can take a look at the bezel. It is extremely thin, and the phone itself in general is just very nice in terms of its design. And I think that is why Google decided to partner up with LG for the past two devices, as I think LG does do a very, very good job in their hardware, and paired up with the stock Android experience, the Nexus 5 is a very good phone, which, speaking of that, I will be receiving in just a few days. On the spec sheet, the LG G2 is also very impressive. It features a 5.2-inch display, and the quality in general is just very, very good. The colors all look very good, and I think that the screen size is just perfect. For those who want a more larger than average phone, this comes in at 5.2 inches, and for reference, the Samsung Galaxy S4 comes in at 4.9, and the HTC One comes in at 4.7. And when you compare it to phones like the Galaxy Note 3, the phablet line of phones, and stuff like that, this pretty much just fits straight in between. It is a little bit larger than your average Android phone out there. However, it isn't as big as some of the phablets out there. And with the very thin bezel, as you can see here, it makes it very easy to grip. The phone itself doesn't feel overly massive. So in general, I feel that it brings a very comfortable screen size to the average consumer and some who are looking for a larger screen. Behind the hood, you also have a 3000 milliamp hour battery, which is a little bit larger than average, and I did notice it to last quite a long time, at times even up to 2 days, and it also charges very fast as well, so that's always a plus when a phone has a good battery. It is also powered by a Snapdragon 800 processor, and it has 2 GB of RAM under it, so I think the phone has no excuse in terms of the performance. It is going to perform very, very well. And what I find it to really be held back by is in some cases the LG skin, which a lot of people do seem to be complaining about. So I will say that it really isn't that bad, or as bad as a lot of people do make it out to be. I found it to be a very enjoyable experience, and I didn't really run into any lag or any issues over the few days I've used it for. But where it really suffers is the animations. They just don't look good. Some of them absolutely suck. And stuff like the notification tab, you can see there, is just kind of the top. I wish there was a little bit of customizability where you can remove and add certain elements, which you can. However, the stuff below it, like the shortcuts and also the volume trigger, at times I wish I can just reduce that and kind of have more space just for my pure notifications. So that is just one of the downsides of the notification tab, for example. But I will say it does borrow a lot of the features from TouchWiz from Samsung, including the Smart Pause feature. And I think that the lock screen in general is very functional. There is the shortcut option, but like I said, the animations just don't look that good. In the app drawer itself, you also have access to be able to kind of hide certain apps that you don't want to be seen, which is one thing that I haven't seen on a lot of the Android phones I've tried out, including the Samsung Galaxy S4. A lot of times you will need a third-party launcher to be able to do that, but in this case you're able to hide any unnecessary applications and just have the ones that you do want to see and access in your app drawer. So that is about it for the software. Let's move on to the actual camera. The camera is 13 megapixels, and as you'd expect, it does produce some very sharp images. I would say the camera quality is okay. It isn't anything really amazing, but it really isn't bad at all. I'd say it's rather mediocre to say the least. And even with the LG phone that was the Nexus 5, that did have some camera complaints to start with, but a lot of those issues were fixed by software, so I do hope in the future the camera is kind of enhanced a little bit better. I do find at times the colors aren't as good as they could have been. The low light performance is mediocre, I guess, and same with the front-facing camera. I guess it is just decent, but really the camera isn't anything amazing. But aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thumbs up if you're excited to see my review, and I'll see you all in the next video.